Good evening, everyone. Hi, my name is Anamika De, and I am the CEO of GYAN. I and my team members will be helping you throughout the program this evening. In the last 2 years, the world has seen one of the scariest pandemic in history. People lost lives and livelihoods. May God give strength to the bereaved families, choicest blessings to the COVID orphans, hope to the people who have lost their livelihoods and jobs, and kindness to the privileged. We are thankful to our frontline workers who have toiled hard to keep us safe and healthy. I'm very happy to welcome you to the first International Awards for Inclusive Innovations for and from Grassroots. The Honeybee Network Creativity and Inclusive Innovation Awards 2020. I extend a very warm welcome to Dr. Rajiv Kumar, Vice President, Niti Aayog, Vice Chairperson, Niti Aayog, Dr. Arya Mashelkar, FRS, former Secretary, DSIR and DG CSIR, Professor Bakul Dolakia, our Chairperson, GYAN Board, and former Director of IMA, Gina. I am not able to see her. I think she'll join in a few minutes. Gina Lucrelli, the team lead of UNDP Accelerator Labs, with whom we are working for the past 2 years now. Marco, Bas, I see Jordana, and many others from the Accelerator Lab networks. Sharmila Mohammed Saleh from Ayasin Innovation Malaysia, innovators, jury members, and friends from the media. The awards are conducted by the Gujarat Grassroots Innovation Augmentation Network, that is GYAN, along with the network institutions like Shrishti, which is led by Mr. Ramesh Patel and Chetan Patel, Seva, which is led by Vivekanandan ji, Palle Shrujana, which is led by Brigadier Ganeshan ji, Pothe Pathshala, which Dr. Balaram Sahu leads, YIM, and of course, the UNDP Accelerator Labs, who has supported us immensely. Having pioneered the cause of grassroots innovations in India for so long as a network, we decided that this award should facilitate innovators from all walks of life from across the world. And it was time for the network to launch its global mission. Let me briefly take you to the program of the evening. After this, we will have a few words by our founder, Professor Anil K. Gupta. He will then invite Ms. Gina to share her vision of the Accelerator Lab and the wonderful work that they are doing. Then our chair, Dr. Mashelkar, will share his words of wisdom, followed by the co-chair, Professor Bakul Dolakia. We will then have a short video of the winners, whose words we had recorded previously, and we have tried to weave it into a small little film of about 10 minutes. And then the awards will be given away by Dr. Kumar, and we will have his address. We will finish the day with a vote of thanks and the invitation to join the next round of the Innovation Awards. Thank you. Over to you, Professor Gupta.
Thank you, Namika. I'm extremely happy that we have got together today to celebrate the creativity and innovation by the people who are living at the margin but are not marginal minds. It is very important for us to recognize that Honeybee Network for the last 33 and 34 years has been giving voice, velocity, and visibility to the creative voices of our society. We recognize, we respect, and we reward the creative people, so that these solutions, particularly extremely affordable solutions, extremely accessible solutions, become available to the people around the world. Having started the movement in India, and I'll say a few words about this movement, it is only natural that we should host these awards for recognizing innovations for and from grassroots from all over the world. This is an area where India can justifiably take leadership and provide opportunity, a platform, a meeting ground of the minds which are all concerned about inclusive, about compassionate, about collaborative, about creative, a world in which we can help meet the unmet needs. Honeybee Network essentially illustrates the idea that, like a honeybee, we do cross-pollination of ideas. Today, we have out of more than 2,500 ideas that we reviewed from 87 countries, 34 were shortlisted, 10 are recognized from 8 countries. But these ideas will go to all the countries from where we received, and even more. So cross-pollination of ideas is one of our major functions. We also do not want people to remain anonymous. So it's very important that people get recognized for what they are. And not only people get recognized, not only the creative innovators get recognized, but even those who scouted them get recognized. So if a particular lab has, let's say UNDP lab has recognized, has identified an innovator, we must remember that without their effort, we would not have reached them. So we must be very grateful to the people who go out of the way, search for these creative people, and help us all to learn from them. Third is that we should make sure that whatever we do on those innovations, whatever value we do add, whatever validation we do, that knowledge, that share, that feedback should go back to them in their language so that they can understand it easily. And finally, if any commercial return accrue from those innovations, a fair share should go to the innovators. These are the 4 principles with which we started much before Convention on Biological Diversity came about in 1992, and many other conventions came about later. So this was a principle, a philosophy which today world recognizes as fundamental to the ethical capital and social capital that we're trying to mobilize in the network. We were the first to recognize also. When GYAN was set up in 97, we realized that a triangle of innovation, investment, and enterprise, this triangle would need to be blended, would need to be forged. The transaction cost of innovators to access capital, investment, or to meet entrepreneurs who might take their ideas to market through market route or through DIY route, do-it-yourself route, open innovation route, is very high. These transaction costs are very high. So there's a need for hand-holding platform. That's how the GYAN came into being after a conference on creativity and innovation at grassroots at IMA in 1997 with the help of Gujarat government. And this was the first initiative of this kind when we asked for a transition from microfinance to micro-venture innovation fund. Even today, we don't have micro-venture innovation fund, except last year we had one for 1 year with SIDBI. Before that, and I have had a fund with the SIDBI. But otherwise, this fund has not been there yet, part of our public policy. And I'm hoping that after the activities today, we will be able to create a space for risk capital. If risk capital is important for information technology, if risk capital is important for biotechnology, why wouldn't it be important for grassroots innovations? Surely there should be a place for this kind. We would very much wish that the G2G model, grassroots to global model that we have been trying to propagate, gets traction through these awards. We are also very keen that when these awards are given, we don't stop at giving award. I will request all of us to put together our head and soul and see what way can we generate opportunities for all the innovators to take their ideas forward and give traction to their ideas so that people benefit from these ideas. Otherwise, by recognizing and leaving them there, we will not go very far. I'm extremely happy that our partner institutions, Srishti, of course, but also other institutions have contributed a great deal. UNDP Lab is a very huge network of 90 labs in 113 countries. I will leave more to say by Gina Lucarelli, but I must add something about our trophy. The trophy that we are giving today is mudra like this. This is a mudra. And this is very important that this mudra is recognized as a mudra of Gyan, of knowledge, wisdom. In Buddhist, it is particularly called as Buddhi. And we are recognizing oddballs. So this hand has 6 fingers. You might say, 6 fingers? Yes. If you go to the literature, you will find that many ancient societies, American Indians to Egyptians to many other, have special respect for those who have 6 fingers. So much so that scientists have found that people with 6 fingers can tie the laces of their shoes with one hand. Now, we wanted to draw attention, and we also wanted this trophy to become a point of conversation. So it's not enough to say that we want to recognize oddball. Even our trophy is an odd expression of creativity and innovation in terms of, and it connects to the long tradition of polydactyl. This is the trophy that we have. So as you can see here, it is an odd form, and I'm sure you will not forget it. But if it had only 5 fingers, you would have forgotten it, I think. So we are trying to link with the 2,000, 3,000-year-old tradition of societies which have respected people with 6 fingers. So let me take you now to the next part of our program today. And I'm extremely happy to welcome Gina Lucchirelli, guest of honor today. She's a team leader of UNDP ACT Lab Network. Gina is an extraordinary lady because she has brought so much of energy for harnessing the wisdom of through the collective intelligence of UNDP ACT Lab. There are 90 labs and for 113 countries. And we had the fortune of teaching a course for the solution mappers called as MIST, Management of Inclusive Innovation for Social Transformation, for the 2 cohorts. And I must tell you that we also tried to create a marketplace for ideas from one part of the world to another. And it was so interesting to see that ideas from Barbados may find application in the Philippines, or ideas from India may find application in Uganda or other countries. So this is the power of this network, and we are so happy that Honeybee Network is collaborating with this network. She has worked extensively in social innovation and global development fields for a long time in the area of data innovation, collective intelligence, sustainable development, justice reform, indigenous knowledge, and participatory development. She has managed teams and portfolios in innovation, directed digital and open data strategies, fought for private sector innovation foundation partnership. Very important. Led strategic planning, attempted to see impact through the monitoring and evaluation, and led advocacy and communication campaigns at UN. She says, I have seen some results when it comes to scaling innovation, integrating across silos, increasing transparency, partnerships, change management for data-driven management, advancing strategic advocacy to achieve UN goals. I'm very grateful, Dr. Ajay Kumar, Dr. Michelle Kerr, Mr. Bakul Dholakia, for your presence today, because what Gina is going to talk about, I'm sure we will all find it of interest, and perhaps it will help us to converge our efforts of all the institutions involved in this HBNCRIIA to take it forward. Gina, please.
Thank you so much, Professor Gupta and Dr. Day. This is you've made me so humbled to be your guest of honor. I'm the one who's honored to be here. Thank you so much for this. First, let me just congratulate the 2020 winners. I'm so excited to find out who they are of the Creativity and Inclusive Innovation Awards. Very excited to see how this pans out. I'm thrilled to be here with the Honeybee Network. I am as Professor Gupta said, the team lead of the United Nations Development Program Accelerator Lab Network. I work with a great team behind that effort, some of whom are with us today. We are a network of social innovation teams embedded inside the United Nations. So we have data scientists, we have designers, we have sociologists, community organizers, anthropologists, many different kinds of skills and expertise that we bring inside the United Nations to help us reimagine what sustainable development is. And our sort of guiding principle is that, you know, the kinds of challenges that the world faces today do not have best practices necessarily that can be replicated across country. And what we need to do is empower experimentation and learn to see innovation that is all around us. So this is what we're doing. We're trying to learn what works and what doesn't in sustainable development. We've been working with the Honeybee Network, very, very honored to be their partner through the Grassroots Innovation Augmentation Network to build skills within the United Nations Development Program on seeing grassroots innovations. First of all, we need to learn to see them. They may be right in front of you, and we often may imagine innovations coming from glitzy labs outside of Silicon Valley when actually they're right in front of us all around, and the solutions are right there. We're also trying to codify this practice so that we can embed it inside the way the United Nations approaches development, that we're consciously learning from the knowledge of the people closest to the problem. That's really the core here. So what we do in each of our accelerator labs, we have a head of solutions mapping. And this person, these people have learned so much from Dr. Day and Professor Gupta and their team in terms of finding grassroots innovations, supporting them, augmenting them, amplifying them, respecting them, recognizing them. We're constantly learning that lesson again and again, and returning it to change the way global development is done. The way this works is the solutions mappers go out and find innovations, they document them. In some cases, they then target innovation policy in country. We've gained a lot of inspiration from the work that's happened in India in this regard, and it's spreading to Philippines and Guatemala. So taking, what is often technological focus of innovation policy and ensuring that grassroots innovations are a part of that policy. We also test and stretch some of the grassroots innovations that we map through a portfolio. We saw this happening an awful lot during the pandemic, where when supply chains were cut and materials for personal protective equipment or disinfectants were lacking, it was the grassroots innovations that came up with great alternatives in terms of hand washing pumps and facial recognition mask detectors and alternatives to ethanol when it wasn't available. So extraordinary bottom-up creation that we saw there. And then finally, we as the United Nations Development Program try to learn from the innovations that we see out there and that our heads of solutions mapping and our accelerator labs map. So once we start to see trends happening, for example, in Sudan, where the growth of small-scale solar solutions has increased in the context of fuel shortages, we then try and look at our own energy access programs and rethink, should we only be thinking big grids, or should we be thinking small scale? And what can we learn from those who are closest to the problem and finding their own solutions? How do we build that into our own investments in development in a country? So we're very committed to frugal innovation as a part of achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. Many of you know that all the governments of the world have agreed to these. They need to be achieved soon by 2030, so we don't have an awful lot of time left. And the pandemic, of course, has backtracked on the goals, has set us backwards. So now more than ever, we need to tap into frugal innovations, all kinds of innovations to power through. It's an all hands on deck moment for the Sustainable Development Goals, for sure. So I just want to thank you all for the opportunity to be here and offer you 2 points of action to take if you would like to. The first is if you'd like to learn more about our work with collective intelligence, have a look at smartertogether.earth. Smartertogether.earth is where we're trying to build out the field of collective intelligence for sustainable development, specifically asking, what is it about the challenge of ensuring that future generations can meet their development needs that can be solved with what 8 billion people know around the world. So do help us build out that field. And then if you have a solution that you would like to share or you'd like to explore others, please have a look at fortomorrow.org. This is a public platform, our partnership with Hyundai Motor Company, that we're working on to recognize, connect, and amplify the work of innovators around the world, making the planet a more sustainable and equitable place. So thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm really looking forward to seeing the winners.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jenna. Thank you so much. And I'm sure that the platform that you mentioned for tomorrow would certainly be a futuristic platform for helping the innovators from around the world to converge, and Honeybee Network will definitely take you on for this journey forward. Thank you so much. I will now invite Dr. Mashelkar, Dr. Hari Mashelkar, a very eminent scholar, fellow of Royal Society, former DG CSIR, and Secretary, Department of Scientific Industrial Research for 11 years. He steered the linkage between academia and industry. And I treat him like an elder brother who has guided the Honeybee Network and its various institutions, GYAN, Srishti, and NIF. He was chair of the NIF for 18 years and has helped in building partnerships. It is through his generosity and wisdom that we had MOU between with the CSIR, with ICMR, and with ICAR, essentially to build linkages between formal and informal science. Dr. Mashelkar was leading a very large network of 20,000 scientists and other workers. Before, he has also been, of course, a very eminent chair of the Global Research Alliance, which is a body of scientific institutions around the world. He has made tremendous contribution for the Golden Triangle, through which he could link industry, academia, and the scientific labs in a way that innovation journey can become faster, smoother. He has received all the honors practically that this country can offer. He was Padma Shri in 2014, Padma Bhushan in 2000, and Padma Vibhushan in 2014, Padma Bhushan in 2000, Padma Shri in 1991. In fact, now we always believe that it is the honors that are receiving a recognition by him rather than the other way around. Dr. Mashelkar, we are looking forward to your word of wisdom.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Anil, for those most affectionate words from my most affectionate and dear friend. My most revered friend and our great thought leader of the country, Dr. Rajiv Kumar, Professor Anil Gupta, Professor Bakul Dholakia, Gina Lucarelli, you gave such a inspiring speech. The proud winners of these awards today. I must say right away that this is a very special moment of great celebration. Global Honeybee Network Creativity and Inclusive Innovation Awards. Let me start with some first principles. You know, a few years ago, we started saying that 1 billion Indians does not mean 1 billion mouths. They mean 1 billion minds. First principle. The second was everyone is someone. Everyone is capable of creating that. And then, of course, Professor Anil Gupta gave us a tagline, which is really immortal. He said, minds on the margin are not marginal minds. You know, what a profound line, as a matter of fact. In fact, he has been a great guru. As he mentioned, I'm a scientist, hardcore scientist, leading CSIR, one of the biggest organizations in the world on scientific and industrial research. We had no idea. We always believed that innovations happened in big labs, right, like ours. And then it was Professor Anil Gupta who showed that there is what is called a laboratory of life, where also innovations happen. And these are the grassroots innovation. And this entire idea of democratization of innovation of the people, by the people, for the people, is what we are talking about. So we are talking about the big picture. Let me reflect. Perhaps I'm the oldest in this gathering, 78 going on to 79. So old people have this nasty habit of just recalling things, but good things have to be recalled. And as Professor Anil Gupta said, it has been a long journey, 35 years, and I've been associated with him for most of the journey. like National Innovation Foundation was created in 2000, but before that, the Honeybee Network 33 years ago, and GAN was created. And I remember in CSIR, we created what was called a STEP, Technology Promotion Program. It is a very easy program where you can come with an idea and a check is written out. It was based on trust. Finally, technology, talent, and trust must go together. And I remember we were the first ones actually to support the GAN initiatives, because as Anil rightly said, it is not just innovation, but also investment and enterprise. And we tried to help that particular triangle. So I feel very proud when I actually look back. The third point I want to make is this entire movement of grassroots to global. Gina, actually, we started talking about it long time ago. And it was finally sort of creative and dynamic leaders like you who are making it sort of happen. Let me recall. I remember in 1998, I remember I was the DG of CSR, South Africa. Anil,
Yes,
I remember, yeah, the Minister of Science and Technology, Mugabe, our own minister, Dr. Murli Manoj Joshi, they had a meeting, there was an exhibition of grassroots innovation. Our grassroots innovators went to South Africa to show them, what can be done, etc. That was more than 20 years ago. And Anil, you will remember our being in China, Tianjin University, 2007, 14 years ago, when I remember from that platform, and you had a huge standing ovation at that time when you talked about grassroots to global. So Gina, these ideas have been around for a while in terms of globalization, but it is actually the powerful instruments that you have today and the intent that you have of UNDP innovation sort of acceleration lab network. I think together we can make it happen. We will not make it 1 + 1 = 2. We'll have to make it 1 + 1 = 11. And we can do that because the world needs it today. World needs it. The fifth point I want to make is very quickly about appreciation of the awards. Anil, it is amazing. How did you handle 2,500 applications from 87 countries? And I think my really heart goes out to all those. And I know the strictest standards that you put, so the drill through which they must have gone through. And when I look at them, whether they come from Argentina, whether they come from Uganda, Ecuador, it's amazing. Like in India, we say, no, there has to be Vedana and then Samvedana. You have to have the sensitivity. When you see the pain, you have a sensitivity. And that is how it comes up. So what we have seen in all these is, of course, we talk about innovation, we talk about passion, but at the end of the day, it is compassion in the heart. Innovation, compassion, and passion. And in each of these innovators, we are able to see that in abundance. And this compassion is sort of, what I found, Anil, it is the pain that bothers people. For example, if you look at Kapil from Himachal, he was worried about the artisans who have lost their leg. And therefore, they'll be out of the... And then he creates a handloom for people with low lung. So one is able to think about those sort of who are excluded and then include them. That is where inclusion comes, okay? Or look at Soumitra, for example, low shoulder movement, frozen shoulder. I have a frozen shoulder. I have difficulty. I remember wearing a shirt, and she thought of people like me, and she has created sort of adaptive wear so that people like that can have these. The great fashion designers didn't think about them, all right? But she thought about it, so as to say. So that compassion is very important. The next point I want to make is that, Anil, many times we talk about local problems and therefore local solutions. There may be local problems, local solutions, but they will have global implications, as one can see. Now, for example, and you referred to COVID a little earlier, 1.3 billion children were thrown out of school in 100 days when the COVID started. But 1/3 of them did not have access. There was a digital deprivation, so as to say, okay? And I remember in India, in the last June, children have committed suicide. At least 6 cases I know, all right? And then somebody comes out and thinks of, even when you don't have good connectivity, what can you do? And you create cable classrooms, you create technology through conference calls and so on and so forth among the awardees. And therefore, these solutions are not just applicable to India. They're applicable all over. And similarly, I'm quite sure innovations have been done sort of all around the world because today, one of the things that will hit the most is digital deprivation. In fact, I remember since we are talking about UN, there was a conference that was held last July, and this was on higher education in the post-COVID era. And I was there in the panel discussion where we had presidents of big universities like Harvard and Tsinghua and Tokyo, etc. And I mentioned about this digital deprivation and what its impact is. And I remember Jeffrey Sachs saying, like the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, the fourth should be digital access to everyone as a fundamental right. I think these are extremely important. So some of these innovations, they go all over. So while sort of finishing all that, I would say that I'm very happy you showed that mudra, Anil. And I love that mudra, particularly with 6 hands. All that I would say is that you talked about oddballs. But let me tell you, Anil, those oddballs will create an even word.
Wow, beautiful.
An equitable word, an inclusive word.
Very nice.
You know, through that collective intelligence that Gina talked about, you know, what we require finally, I would simply say, is speed, scale, and sustainability. As Gina, you rightly said, we don't have time at hand. So we have to do these things speedily. We have to reach scale. And that scale cannot be reached unless we have that golden triangle completed. It's not just the innovation, the enterprise, as well as investment. And sustainability, the key word for the future of these words. So I think the event that we're meeting for today has a major global significance. So thank you very much, Anil, for having me. You know, each such event, I keep on getting old, keep on adding years to my life, but events like this add life to my years. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Mashilkar. You have always inspired the country, not just me, and people around the world. Your idea about oddball creating even word is beautiful, just beautiful. I like that because that's the way we have been dreaming that's what Honeybee Network's contribution is. Before I proceed further, I will have to mention a small change. And in a dynamic world, changes are inevitable. Professor Dholakia will join after we see the film because he had some difficulty at this end. So our people have gone there to help. The film, which we will see, has dialogues, brief dialogues by each innovator. So in some sense, it will bring the realism because we realize that in real time, the connections being what they are, we might have missed some of the voices. I also want to request colleagues who want to join this platform of HBNCRIIA and Honeybee Network could fill up a form, that link is being put on the chat for Mentors Network. They can contribute in any form, design, support, search for creativity, in any form that they wish to contribute. Spreading a good word or going to school and telling the children about innovations, anything that you wish to do. Everybody can contribute something. That's our firm belief. So I will request our team to show the film, after which we will hear the remark of our respected chairman of Gyan Board, Dr. Bakul Dholakia, and a dear friend and a former director of Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad. So my team will show the film now, which is about how these awards have emerged.
We are Aka Group from UiTM Perlis. We are the inventor of the innovation Gala Twist that is designed to ease farmer in wrapping fruit, like mangoes that grow on high branches. To ensure the quality of mangoes, wrapping them is an important process. To wrap fruit on high branches, farmer had to use leather on uneven ground, and from there, the idea of Gala Twist innovation was born.
My name is Joaquin Cochero and I'm a team member of the project Casa Mosquitos. Our solution involves a digital application that can be downloaded by anyone with internet connection that can help track the distribution of potentially harmful mosquitoes. Users interact by taking photos of the insects and of their breeding grounds, and they get helped remotely by a professional entomologist to recognize the different species of mosquitoes. We would like to thank you so much for this award. We're very, very honored, and for everyone who contributed to the project to completely eradicate mosquito-transmitted diseases.
भी नेटवर्क के सहयोग से मैंने ये एक ऐसी मशीन बनाई है जिसमें हम कच्चे मक्के के दाने को निकालते हैं, उसके साथ साथ ही मशीन में डाल करके इसके दानों से हम दूध बनाते हैं। इस दूध से पनीर भी बनता है, इस दूध से मिठाइयाँ भी बनती हैं, या दूध इस्तेमाल भी होता है चाय में। साथ साथ मैंने कम तापमान पर एक ऐसी वैक्यूम फ्राई मशीन बनाई है जिसमें हम लोग फलों को, सब्जियों को कुरकुरा बना करके, टेस्टी बना करके खाते हैं।
Namaste. My name is Mrs. Raju Durba from Visakhapatnam, Andhra Pradesh. I have prepared a herbal liquid for enhancing the shelf life of tomatoes. When there is more production, no demand to the tomatoes. So the farmers are throwing the tomatoes on the roads and leaving them in the fields for cattle. It's a heavy loss to the farmers. In this case, if the farmers dip the tomatoes in our liquid and store them in room temperature, they will be in a good condition for 30 days. Thank you.
In a tent in the winter here in Iraq, it gets very, very cold, especially in Kurdistan. You get temperature to 0 degrees and it gets very, very cold in the tent. In a life shelter, the temperature remains warm enough. You need much less heating to keep the place warm. And similarly, in the summer, we've got temperature up to 50 degrees. And I tell you, living in a tent under 50 degrees is very difficult. Life shelter enabled to keep the temperature very cool. We've tried it in the summer. We've been in this shelter in the summer, and it's been really impressively cool. It's not only about cost benefit, not only about durability, about being environmentally friendly. It's also about the dignity that it brings to a family living in a solid shelter where they can feel comfortable as compared to living in a tent.
La calle te presenta historias diferentes día a día. Cosas buenas, cosas tiernas y cosas que te llegan al corazón. Pero también hay de aquellas que no podemos permitir que sucedan. Gus es parte de un programa en el que, como él, varios perros son rescatados y adiestrados para salvaguardar la integridad y la vida de mujeres víctimas de violencia de género. Somos la Fundación ARNU. Donamos seguridad, rescatamos libertad, salvamos vidas.
Hi, I'm Shomita, founder CEO of Zenica Inclusive Fashion. At Zenica, we make clothes that are particularly designed to enhance everyone's experience of dressing up, be it different body types, disabilities, or physical challenges. It comes from my own lived experience of not having to find any clothes when I suddenly fell sick and lost all my mobility. That's why we are here to ensure that people get the chance to wear clothes comfortably, painlessly, and above all, independently, upholding their dignity. I'm extremely humbled by this award, and I really hope that the work reaches all those who really need it the most. Thank you.
From Mandi, Himachal Pradesh. We have developed a handloom for differently abled weavers.
For handloom weaving, we need both hands and legs to weave. But if a weaver lost his legs or is disabled by legs in accident, he can't weave. For leg disabled people, we created a sun handloom in which foot lever is removed and hand levers are added. So, a disabled weaver can also weave and earn for his family and kids and become self-dependent. Some of the designs which are weaved by disabled weavers on some handlooms are following. This is a silk wool stole weaved by disabled weaver.
The electronic machine is plugged input on the socket board. It's a cell which leads to wastage of electricity. So this solution, I thought of the idea of modification of electric plug. It would have a switch on the plug pin of the electronic machine to turn it on and off so that there will no have to remove the plug pin from the socket board again and again.
My name is Saji Varghese. I am the innovator of biodegradable drinking straws made from discarded coconut leaves. And now my team has also developed biodegradable writing pens also made from coconut leaves, reducing 96% of the plastic. We have developed 7 machines in-house which is used to roll out these straws and the pens, and we give out these machines to women in rural areas, and we train them how to use these machines, and we buy back the straws and sell them globally under the brand name of Sunbird Straws. We are very happy that this innovation is now helping in preventing the burning of coconut leaves, providing livelihoods to women in rural areas, and above all, replacing single-use plastic across the globe.
नमस्कार, मैंने कोरोना संक्रमित मरीजों के लिए और सामान्य मरीजों के लिए विशेष प्रकार का आइसोलेटेड बेड तैयार किया है। यह बेड कोरोना संक्रमित मरीजों की सुरक्षा करता है और चिकित्सा कर्मचारियों की भी सुरक्षा करता है।
Due to COVID-19, all schools are closed and we are facing a lot of problems on online education. So I started teaching through conference call with my rural students. More than 20,000 teachers follow those innovations for continue education in COVID-19.
As a humanitarian organization focused on innovative solutions, the first prototype of the interactive soap was made a few years ago. The concept behind it is having a 3D printed toy inside a semi-transparent piece of soap to incentivize kids on washing their hands. As much as that is important, the pandemic even gave it more importance. So over the last 2 years, we've been reaching out to organizations that are interested in this idea. The piece of soap you see in my hand is part of the 12,000 pieces ordered for the schools of Basra Governorate in Iraq, with more orders in the pipeline.
The limitation of internet connection and cell phones availability, my teachers cannot provide proper online education to the students. Therefore, the idea to reach the students through cable created. We reached more than 50 villages and 20,000 students of primary, secondary and higher secondary education. I am so much thankful for our school body, Mr. Mehul and Mayur Goswami, for their kind support.
Friends, this is an occasion when we have to appreciate what GYAN team has done, and this could not have happened without the leadership of the chairman of GYAN, Dr. Bakul Dholakia, a very dear friend of mine, and like an elder brother who was the director of Indian Institute of Management from 2002 to 2007. He was also a dean from 98 to 2001, and his leadership, in fact, had demonstrated the fact that if you give autonomy, freedom, and opportunity to people to express themselves, a lot more can come out of the people, same people who may have otherwise been not as productive as they could be. He was also the Director General of International Management Institute. And before that, he was Director of Adani Institute of Infrastructure Management and Gujarat Adani Institute of Medical Sciences. Dr. Dholakia is a gold medalist from Baroda University and holds a doctorate in economics, having been teacher for 45 years and 33 years out of that at IIM Ahmedabad. He's also been member of the Reserve Bank Board in the Western region and has guided more than 20 PhD students in finance, business policy, public system. He was given one of the highest civilian honor of our country, Padma Shri, in 2007. And I must say that GYAN is very privileged to have his leadership for taking these ideas of grassroots to global forward. Professor Bakul Dholakia, please.
Thank you for the kind words of introduction, Anil. I'm very happy to be part of this prestigious event. I would like to specifically refer to the fact that Dr. Rajiv Kumar and Dr. Mashelkar, such personalities, are part of this big event. So Professor Anil Gupta, participants of today's award function, and office bearers of GYAN Honeybee Network, and all award winners. My hearty congratulations to the winners of the Honeybee Network Creativity and Inclusive Innovation Awards. I'm indeed very happy to see the Honeybee Network and the institutions grow through all these years. As Anil mentioned, the movement started when Anil and I were at IIMA. I remember the first international conference of creativity at grassroots in 1997, organized by IIMA, Srishti, and the Honeybee Network collaborators, as a result of which GYAN was set up to link innovations, investment, and enterprise. From being the first incubator of grassroots innovations to being winner of the best technology business incubator along with IIT Madras in 2003 at the hands of Dr. Abdul J. Kalam, GYAN has come a long way. In 2003, when GYAN received this award, I was the director of IIM Ahmedabad. And I remember that I was excited about the achievements of all these efforts which were put in by Professor Anil Gupta. And during my tenure, I tried my best to facilitate GYAN and all its collaborator institutions to grow as much as they can and achieve the full potential. Whatever I could do, I have done to the best of my ability, and I feel very happy about it, especially when I see this tremendous growth of this efforts and the organizations which were set up at that time. Over the years, GYAN has stayed true to its promise to serve the innovators at their doorsteps. Even during the pandemic, where the mobility was restricted, it has invested in 25 grassroots technologies under the Micro Venture Innovation Fund with the help of SIDBI without a face-to-face meeting. It has upheld the principle of the Honeybee Network that when innovators trust us with their knowledge, ideas, and innovations, why should we not trust them? As the chairperson of GYAN board, I have seen it growing more so in the last 3 years. And the HBNCRIIA is one of the many new initiatives that the network has undertaken. This year, GYAN conducted more than 500 on-farm trials of farmer varieties and distributed seeds for nutrition gardens to 1,000 schools all over the country. Our team has served the communities in Amreli with ration kits, building materials, and treatment of animals after the cyclone. Cyclone Tukte hit the state. Thanks to our parents, Seva Kitchen run by Ms. Khushru Pocha and the doctors from Amul India, led by Dr. Rakesh. We are deeply thankful to Ms. R.S. Sonde for helping us to serve the badly injured cattle population in the forest area. GYAN and Srishti recently announced the winners of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Ignited Mind Awards. And I'm very happy to see that many children from rural area won the awards. It has made 2 databases of grassroots technologies, one in collaboration with UNDP Accelerator Labs India and another with Godrej Agrovet. It has published a book of 50 innovative teachers from the state, authored by Professor Vijay Sheri Chand and Professor Anil Gupta with the general's help from the Teachers University, Gandhinagar. We are also working on the problems of sanitation, problems of Angadiya workers under a CSR project from Gujarat Industrial Investment Corporation Limited, and design partnerships with IIT Powai, IIIT DM Jabalpur, and SPA Bhopal. During the last couple of years, it has forged partnerships with several national and international institutions of repute, like the UNDP Accelerator Labs, UNESCO, UNISCAP, Vatsan Innovation Malaysia, NIT Srinagar, Putik, Central University of Jammu, Punjab Science and Technology Council, Telangana State Innovation Council, and so on. I'm happy to inform you that the new campus of GYAN is coming up at GIDC Sanand, Gujarat, which I believe will help us to focus on the innovative ideas of the industrial workers as well. I extend my invitation to all those who want to help the innovators through mentoring, networking, and resources to join GYAN in incubating grassroots innovations, not just from India, but also globally. Let me congratulate the winners once again. My best wishes for all your future endeavors. May this award be just a stepping stone for you to bring more laurels to your country, community, and network while serving the underprivileged. I wish all of them all the very best. And I also want to express my sincere gratitude. And I also want to compliment all those who have worked so hard to make GYAN and its efforts such a big success. And more particularly, I would like to congratulate Anil Gupta for untiring efforts. I mean, the guy has phenomenal energy, and one doesn't know what is the source of the continuous hard work and struggles that he keeps doing. I have seen him since he was very young, some 40 years ago. And over the last 40 years, I have seen the remarkable things that he has achieved. So I'm sure that with Anil Gupta's leadership, GYAN has an extremely bright future ahead. I wish you all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Bakul. In fact, it is Anamika and her team. I take the credit. I get all the credit for all the work that my colleagues do. And you're right that there are a lot of young people around who have been working day and night to make this whole large mission successful. I'll take the opportunity now to introduce our chief guest. And I'll first introduce him, and then we'll have the award function. We will take the name and everybody's slide will come over. And then I will request him to share his advice and his word of wisdom so that this movement of grassroots to global goes further. Dr. Rajiv Kumar is Vice Chairman of Niti Aayog. with the rank of a status of cabinet minister. More than that, he's a personal friend for over 45 years. And I recognized in him all through these years a very sensitive eye and a very generous heart towards those who are disadvantaged, to make inclusive society, to make our country more appreciative of the initiatives, entrepreneurial initiatives, innovative initiatives in all walks. He also serves as the Chancellor of Gokhale Institute of Politics and Economics. Earlier, he was with the Ministry of Industry and subsequently Ministry of Finance as economic advisor during the reform years of 91-94. He also served as an independent director on the Reserve Bank of India and the State Bank of India. His rich experience of working with industry associations and industry in general and the financial institutions has served us very well. Dr. Kumar has a PhD in economics from Lucknow University and DPhil from Oxford University. And in addition to all of this, as I said, he keeps his hands grounded. So on weekends, often he will go to his farm and work with his hands, connecting soil and soul. Dr. Rajiv Kumar, thank you so much for being with us. We will now start the award function. Thank you so much. Rajiv, can you switch on your video? Rajiv? Dr. Rajiv Kumar, can you switch on your video? Hello? Can you switch on your video? Acha.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Right. Thank you. So we will now. I can see you. I was just yes. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So we will have the award function, Rajiv. Now, our team, Dr. Namika, will announce the name, and then we will have after the awards at your hands. So we will have. Yeah. So thank you so much, Rajiv, for being with us. The awards start.
Yeah, thank you. My internet connection seems to be unstable.
After the awards, you will give the speech. After the awards, you will give the speech. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mic on.
So the first international awards. So we will go with by the category. We have 10 awards in the main award category. We have 4 in the special COVID category and 4 in the appreciation. It doesn't go. No, it is just not getting. Let me check. Yeah, I did it.
Yes. No.
Yeah, now it is going. Yeah. Azhar bin Ismail and his teammates for Gala Twist. Azhar is from Malaysia. Joaquin Cochero and Christian de Batista from Argentina for Casa Mosquitos. Adonis Bishop Pitogo from Philippines for the Piezo Wi-Fi. Simi Mobile from Uganda for a built-in temperature gun. Jacob Christensen from Iraq for the life shelter rigid tent. Shiv Kumar Modha for the Modha device, which replaces checkhards in handlooms. Saumita Basu for designing very easy and elegant clothing for people with disability or senior citizens. Srimati Raju Duba who has a brand called Live More, which makes a concoction for increasing shelf life of the tomatoes. Fundación Arnov and its co-founder Andrea Mosquera for training dogs against gender violence. Dharamveer Kamboj from India for various agro-processing machines and innovations that he has made. The next category is coping with COVID-19. And we have Ashok Kumar Asrani from India for designing an isolated bed with an enclosure structure. Balaji Jadhav for teaching through conference calls. He made education accessible to students who do not have a smartphone, and he delivered his lectures through feature phones. The interactive soap made by Field Ready Makerspace in Iraq has become more popular during the COVID, of course, and you get kids find toys inside it, and that makes them interesting. Ashok Bhaidave from India has used the local cable networks for delivering lectures and classes to the school students. Our next category is the Appreciation Awards. We have Kerry and Powell from Barbados for making a cassava and sargassum bioplastic. Professor Saji Varghese for making drinking straws out of coconut leaves. His brand name goes by Sunbird Straws. Ravi Kumar Sharma, who gave us an interesting idea on modification of the electric plug. And Kapil Vadya from India, who designed and handloom for the disabled weavers. Thank you so much to our jury members who are from all across the world from many different spheres of expertise, and I'm very thankful to them. Thank you so much. Over to you, Professor.
Thank you, Anamika. We will now like to hear Dr. Rajiv Kumar, who has not only led the Niti Aayog's activities, but I would say through his engagement with various sectors, has tried to promote innovations in every sector. Dr. Rajiv Kumar, please.
Respected Dr. Mashelkar, Dr. Professor Bakul Dholakia, Ms.
Gina
Lucranelli, and my long-standing friend, Professor Anil Gupta. It's really indeed an honor to be here, and I feel rather overawed to be asked to speak after people like Dr. Mashelkar and Bakul Dholakia have spoken, because they've contributed so much more to the society than I would ever be able to do so. But thank you for the honor, and I should take the opportunity to really most heartily congratulate all the winners of these amazing awards. I mean, these are awards that have come from the grassroots, and they are meant for those people on the grassroots. They represent, as I think I read somewhere, conversion of samvedana into srijanshilta. I think that's what the essence of innovation could be, is innovations which are directed at solving human problems and coming, and not merely for commercial purposes. I think real innovations are those which help us tackle life's problems as we go along at different stages of our lives, and these awards represent that. So once more, my very heartiest congratulations to the winners, and really my compliments to Anil. As he said, we've known each other for 45 years, and Professor Dholakia also mentioned that, and so did Dr. Mashelkar. I mean, the man is quite incredible. He just goes on and on and on. I mean, he just he doesn't stop. I mean, he has led over the years, teams of Shodh Yatra to the most difficult parts of the country. He's gone and discovered, all kinds of grassroots innovations over the last 35 years. I'm told the Honeybee Network has collected more than 100,000 innovations, from the local people. And that's just, and the amazing quality about Anil is that I've never heard him, I've never seen him with any negative thought or pessimism. It's a thing to carry on working and contribute to as it were the last breath, and that's what he exemplifies. But more importantly, perhaps today, he's been able to motivate and build a team of youngsters who are going to carry on his ideas, for forever, for future. And I think that's something that people like me are striving to do in maybe slightly more difficult circumstances of being within the government. But nonetheless, that's an inspiration to all of us. So congratulations to you, Anil, for doing whatever you have achieved and taking Gyan global and making Honeybee Network so relevant and creating now these international awards where 2,500 entries from 87 countries. It's just mind-blowing as to what you've done. So once more, congratulations to you and to your team. Now, the fact is that, by the way, I must mention that I particularly liked among the awards, and all the awards are priceless, but this is just a personal bias. I think the interactive soap was an amazing idea for the children. To find a toy within the soap, I think, is a fascinating thought. And the other one is about the dogs against gender violence. I could have never imagined something like that, and to have seen it in action about dogs in the streets, helping women get out of difficult situations. And then finally, because I'm so interested now in Indian agriculture and in natural farming, the shelf life of tomatoes by up to a month, and so which will prevent tons of tomatoes being thrown on the ground. And I've seen that with my own eyes because their prices don't meet even the transport costs. So and the shelters in Iraq, 50 to 50, 10 degrees negative to 50 degrees. I think these are innovations inspired by human problems, by human difficulties, and aim to solve real problems. And I think this is where this is most fascinating. And but to me, the Honeybee Network signifies a philosophy of discourse that stands on three pillars. The discourse that is authentic, accountable, and immediately applicable. And I think those are the three pillars that I think all innovations should have. And moreover, this is an open network. So anybody can contribute, develop further, and and continue with those awards. And the more creditable thing is that they sort of acknowledge the source of the innovation in the traditional moorings that it has and in the local society that it has. And I think that's this is a model of ideas and innovations from traditional knowledge practice that has a lot of merit and exemplary lessons for all of us again. Now I think also the more important part is that not only these are frugal, but they're also aimed at solving the problems of those at the bottom of the pyramid. And I think that's key today. That's key today in a world globally where inequalities are unfortunately increasing, where you have a world where still, despite all that we've achieved in technological terms and everything else, I believe up to 40% of the people live below $2 a day. And in our own country, there's a large percentage of people who have limited access to basic services such as food, water, housing, health, and education. And I think innovation, grassroots innovation meant taken from the grassroots for the grassroots can play a very important role to solve the challenges and create sustainable growth. The need for inclusive innovation is paramount in our country. And I think that's what we need to do. And this is why, again, I think the Honeybee Network, the Gyan, the Gyan experiment, and Srishti and the NIF all deserve our attention and our compliments in this regard. I think now the other one, by the way, I just want to say here that we in Niti Aayog are now trying to create an innovation ecosystem through the Atal Innovation Mission. And then one of your jury members is now the Managing Director, Dr. Chintan Vaishnav. He is heading the effort at the Atal Innovation Mission. And we are trying to not only spread the innovation culture across, but also deepen it by carrying it to the schools in India. And I'm very glad to say, because I'm part of it, part of that effort, that we have now got 9,000 Atal Tinkering Labs in secondary schools. 70% of these are in government schools. And our target is that they will reach 50,000 in the next 3 years with the help of the Ministry of Education, because the minister has expressed his interest to carry that forward. This will change the whole basis of education in India. From the time that we grew up and we were told not to ask questions and only to learn by rote, to a situation where young children will be introduced to cutting-edge technology, we are already being introduced, to optical sensors and 3D printing and electronic bench, at that age of 15, 16. So I'm so optimistic that I think when this generation who are passing through the Atal Tinkering Labs comes of age, it will be a generation that will further reinforce, that further build our innovation culture. And we will become a land, hopefully, of innovation and an ecosystem that nurtures innovation. And in this regard, we're also trying to put together a platform in Atal Innovation Mission, which will bring together all the incubation centers that you have in this country from different sources, whether in different ministries, in different organizations. Because the idea is that there should be a platform where incubation centers can learn from themselves, from each other, and can bring ideas to bear, on each other's experiments. I think that's another one that we are working on. And finally, in the Atal Innovation Mission, we are working for the small and medium enterprises, so that ministries can have challenges thrown to the small and medium enterprises and to local entrepreneurs and whoever, who can then develop and then can then put forward their innovations, and the ministry would help them take this forward in the same spirit as the SBIR program does in the US. So the fact is that I suppose I can say this, that inspired by the Honeybee Network, we now are committed to creating a nationwide innovation ecosystem. An ecosystem where the distance between the land and the lab is just simply eliminated as far as we can help it. And schools, with their mentors, now we've got more than 5,000 mentors who are all working voluntarily, can connect, and fill these gaps between each other. So one other thing that we are doing is that, and I think the Honeybee Network has been doing this for a while, is that we thought, why should it be necessary to know English to be an innovator? That shouldn't be necessary. So what we are doing now in the Atal Innovation Mission is that everything will be available in multiple languages. And with the natural language processing facility that we have, because of technology, we can do that. And we are going to encourage innovation in local and regional languages, so that, because I think that is where creativity may be most available. And when expressed in your mother tongue and when expressed in your own language, I think innovation will come forward in a gush that we've not seen before. And I think Atal Innovation Mission is committed to do that in our country. I think you'll see another era, as it were, another dimension of innovation coming forward. I really, lots has been said, and when I speak, I feel like holding a candle to the sons that are there in this audience, Professor Mashelkar, Professor Dholakia, and others. But I just want to request Anil and the Honeybee Network. But I think it's time to maybe channelize our innovations or try and focus them on some of the problems that I think should not exist in India any longer. And I'm referring here to the problem of malnourishment among children and to the problem of anemia in our women. 50% of them. How can this be possible? How can this be happening? I don't think in my grandmother's age, the anemia was as rampant as this is today. I wonder if we had the same level of undernourishment. I'm saying this because maybe we have lost some traditional knowledge, and I give an example that I just found. Somebody told me just recently that we've been distributing iron tablets for 2 decades now. With pretty much no very, very, very small result because they are not useful. I mean, people don't use them because of various different reasons. And if you use them without vitamin C, the body doesn't absorb them. So that in any case, it's useless. It just passes off, And my grandmother, my Nani ji, used to cook for us, in a cast iron kadhai, the spinach, and at the end of the cooking, she would squeeze a big lemon on it, on top of it. And that I was told, that I feel, which could be something that had iron in it and also helped the children to absorb it. Similarly, in the villages that I've noticed now, people drink jaggery solutions, and they just put again some lemon in it. So I think what I'm saying is that undernourishment and anemia are two stigma as far as I'm concerned, which the country doesn't deserve to have. This is a country can easily conquer it, and so maybe there are local innovations that we can focus on, and maybe you can have a challenge in the next round of your awards for this sort of thing going forward. And the third area, Anil, that I would want to leave with you is preschool learning. From the age of 2.5 to 6, I think 70% of children are left out already, because they don't have access to preschool learning. And the Anganwadis, they can be improved very much. And because by the time the child comes of age of 6 and goes to class 1, all of these people, not our children, because they're of course into play schools and at home they learn and they've got educative toys, etc. But all the others are there, they enter the classroom and are destined to the back rows, where they don't understand whatever the teacher is telling you because they've had no background in preschool. What can local innovations do? I mean, there must be toys, and I know that there are, and there were educative toys made by local craftsmen, which could be used by people to make simple games which are educative. And Professor Mashelkar talked about digital deprivation. How can we overcome that? It's a real issue. More than half of our children have been so deprived during these 2 years because after all our internet penetration I think is about 40%. And so they didn't have access to all of that. How do we tackle those things? So these are the 3 areas that I thought I'll bring to your attention because I think yours is a network that can help us address them and address them at a mass scale. And just one other thing, and which is on malnutrition and anemia, I have noticed that one of the biggest issues here is just awareness. I was shocked to learn when I met all my NGOs, 15 of them who got 15 districts on the field in UP. From 2 villages I heard that they did not know the word ocean, what it meant in the villages. Ocean was a strange word. And more, even bigger, I was told that there is a practice, at least in some villages in UP, that the newly born baby is taken away from the mother and only given honey by the grandmother, because the belief is that she cannot digest the thick milk that the mother is providing, which we all know the colostrum is full of the antibody. How do we use local innovation to spread awareness about nourishment in our country? We're not short of food, and yet the Global Hunger Index keeps talking about where we rank. We're not short of food, but we are short of nourishment. And I think local innovation can help us lick this problem. So once more, my heartiest congratulations to the winners, my compliments to you, and God give you the strength to carry on, Anil, as you've done in the past. Thank you very much.
Anil, can you hear me?
Go ahead, sir.
I'm so inspired. I'm sorry. I'm breaking the rules. Anyway, in innovation, you are supposed to do things differently. Rajivji, your speech, as usual, was very inspirational. I just want to take one point from that. You know, several years ago, I remember I gave the Ranganathan Memorial Lecture in Chennai. C. Subramaniam was the chief guest, and M.S. Swaminathan was the guest of honor. And I talked to them about their having done green revolution, blue revolution. I said there will be gray revolution. And there is. I said 0.6% of young people, 0.6% of our population, 26.5 average age, is generating 1/3 of our export. I was talking about IT and IT-related services. And I said, this is all gray matter and gray revolution. Actually, C. Subramaniam gave it back to me in his remarks. He says, Mashelkar doesn't know. And he gave the malnutrition figures, by the way. Pregnant mothers and so on and so forth. And the kind of damage that is done up here. So he said, forget about your grey revolution. If you do not have not green revolution, evergreen revolution, of which nutritional revolution is going to be the issue. And Rajivji, I'm sorry to say, this was about 15, 20 years ago. So we have a challenge, and I'm grateful to you that on a public forum you have brought this up. Thank you very much. As usual, you are inspiration personified. God bless you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
It's Anamika.
Yes, sir. So on behalf of the Honeybee Network, Gyan, my team and I extend our sincere gratitude to Dr. Kumar, who has brought our attention. And sir, we hope by the time we announce or have the next award function, we are able to show something on ground. I am sure my team will work hard, and we will find out grassroots solutions to tackle this problem, the problem of nutrition in at least some of the districts where we are working. Thank you, Mashelkar sir, for your encouragement and always standing beside us, supporting us in every possible way. Thank you, Professor Dolake. I'm very sorry. I apologize for the technical problem that you had to face, but I hope you will continue to bless us and me, of course. I'm very sorry, sir, but your blessings and mentorship are needed more now, more than before. I'm also thankful to the innovators, without which the competition, the function, nothing could have been possible, not our team, nobody in fact. So I'm very thankful for to our innovators, our collaborators, our guests, Gina, Bas, Mirko, the Accelerator Labs, who has supported immensely. And do circulate the new announcement amongst your circle. We will just put the details here, and I hope to see you again in the next year. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This brings us to the end of the function. We are grateful to everybody who joined us online and has been a partner in this journey. Thank you so much. God bless you all.